Hey, Shawna, have you ever tried pole dance or pole art before?
I haven't, but I would love to because it looks like a ton of fun. And the people that do pole art are so incredibly strong. I think it would be super fun to learn some of those acrobatics.
And you can get your sexy on no matter what age you are. Our guest today is super athletic. She is 74 years young. Her name is Greta Pontarelli, and you may have seen her all over social media. And she is a 16-time world pole art and sport champion.
What an inspiration. Now, before we dive in, let's just give a shout out to Adrienne Bander. Thanks for listening. On with the show.
Welcome to the Girls Talk Healthy Aging podcast, where we dive deep into pressing health and fitness issues facing aging women. I'm Alli Kerr.
And I'm Shawna Kaminski. And together we'll bring candid conversations, expert advice, and personal stories that will inspire and empower you on your own wellness journey.
I am super excited to chat with Greta today, Greta Pontarelli, and she is a 16-time world champion pole artist, and she is 74 years young, which is just blowing my mind. And I've seen your videos, Greta, and wow, you are a force. And so can you just tell us a little bit about how your journey started? How did you get into pole art, and maybe tell us about pole arts, because some people may not know what it is.
Well, I started getting into pole art when I was 59. Both of my sisters who were younger came down with osteopenia, which is the beginning of osteoporosis. And they said to me, you need to get checked because it runs in our family. So at that point, I was in pretty good shape, but I wasn't loading my bones. So I went on the internet and I researched what helps load your bones. What can I do that would help give me a program that would help keep osteoporosis at bay? Pole art, you want me to describe it a little bit? Pole art is basically acrobatics on the pole and between the pole. You have one spinning and one static normally when you perform or in championship competitions. And it's a outlet to be highly creative because I create the soundtrack or put pieces together. I create the LED screen, the costume, the storyline, and it makes you tap a little bit deeper into yourself to find those archetypes that inspire your life and to share them with other people.
And how did you get into competition? Just probably once you started doing pole art, then those opportunities became available?
Well, that's interesting because I never thought I would compete because I competed in gymnastics and a little bit in martial arts. And my competition is in the mirrors. So I thought I'm never going to compete, but I was invited on a show called American Ninja Warrior. I was on there twice. And when my footage hit the TV screen, they said, and this is the oldest person to ever attempt the course. And I thought, this is an epiphany. Where is everybody else? And so I realized that I had to use the stage as a platform to uh, share my journey and to share a message that empower people to become the very best they can become.
So you were actually a ninja warrior.
Yes, I didn't even apply for it. They called me because this was a while back before all the CrossFit people, and all these gymnasts came off the circuit that really trained for it and they're really groomed for it. So it's kind of shifted recently. But when I first started, looking at it, I hadn't watched the TV show and I had never seen the course till I got to Venice Beach. They called me and invited me to be on the show because they saw some of my videos. A couple of my videos were getting a lot of hits. And they thought, well, here's somebody that we need more women. This is somebody that we would be interested in having. So I was grateful to get partway through the course. I really wasn't groomed for it, but it was such an inspiring experience to see all these people there that let their reach exceed their grasp. I mean, it was exhilarating.
Yeah.
So basically, they found you through social media. Is that where
That's
they saw
correct.
videos? And
Yes.
then you also, I saw that you have been in a couple of Miley Cyrus videos. I want to hear about that and how that came to be.
Well, there's a video of me that was Elle magazine put out that had 24 million hits. So it went very much viral. And she saw that video and said, I want her to be in this next video that I'm doing for younger now. So I was on that video with her. And then she also did a Converse commercial that she invited me to be on, the Converse commercial with her that was filmed at her house before it burned down. And it was really a lot of fun. She's a wonderful lady. She's a riot. We had such a good time. And yeah, I'm grateful for that opportunity because I want to cast my net broader. I want people that are not in the pole community to look at that and somehow inspire them to find the magic within them that makes their soul soar. It might be something completely different, but everybody has some passion in life that once it starts to manifest, their life is full of energy and mission. And I really want to inspire people to find that and to manifest it.
Pole dance or pole art is often misunderstood, and there may be kind of a negative connotation associated with it in some circles. So what do you want more people to know about it as an art form, as a form of athletics?
I would like people to know that in pole art and pole sport, there's something for everybody. There is the side that's more exotic. There's the side where people do it strictly for fitness because they just want to get in shape. There's people that do it like myself because they want to tell an empowering story. There's some people that are highly acrobatic that they just love, the crazy moves, like one flips off of the pole, whatever they can do. They like to stretch their boundaries. So it's amazing. And the things that I love most about it is that people of all shapes, all sizes, all ages, and that at my age, I can still do this and compete on the world stage. That's not true of very many sports. And starting out as a gymnast, you're a has-been when you're in your 20s. So I was overjoyed to find pole sport and pole art. Yes, it's really changed my life.
Before this interview, I talked to a friend of mine who used to own a pole studio that was more of a fitness style. And one of the things that she said, that one of the reasons she's so passionate is that some of her ladies would come in and initially they'd be like, okay, I just want to do this for fitness. I don't want to do any of the sexy stuff. And then later on they might, kind of open up and be like, or she would have ladies come in and they'd be like, I just want to do the sexy stuff. I don't want to do the acrobat or anything hard. But what she said was that, and this, I find this to be true, as we get older as women, a lot of times we don't feel as sexy or, that we kind of feel like our aesthetics is just like an important thing. And then it's like, wait a minute, we're older now. And I think that a lot of ladies can feel a loss of that. So can you speak to that and how pole might help ladies tap into that, just their beauty, our inner beauty, and if you want to call it sexy side, whatever.
Yes, it absolutely is true. The first class I ever took, I came in capris. And if you know anything about pole, you have to have your skin touch the pole to stick. So of course I was struggling with climbing, and because I thought, well, my legs don't look like I was 18 years old anymore. So I didn't want to wear the kind of short shorts you have to wear when you're in there. But pretty soon, I realized you need that to pole. And pretty soon I embraced my age. I embraced where I was. And I started allowing that everybody has a goddess within them at every age. And I saw myself, okay, so I'm a lot older, but this is like fine wine that gets better with age. So yes, gravity does affect things. Some things you don't look like you did when you were younger, but there's still an inner spirit of being sexy or sultry and embracing that really does manifest through pole.
We're going to interrupt this interview for just a second because we've got something we want to make sure that you know. If you're struggling with your health, with your fitness, if you don't know where to start or you know what to do and you're not doing it, we're here for you.
And all you need to do to get our help is to reach out to Shawna and I at our email, sapodcast23@gmail.com. And we're happy to help and we will be in touch. Now back to the show.
Now you talk about, the power of thoughts and intentions in achieving wellness. So, can you share a pivotal moment in your life when your mindset made all the difference?
Oh, gee, a pivotal moment. Let me think. Maybe there wasn't just one, but I think at some point, you realize that if you put your energy behind goals, they can manifest, they can become real. So everybody in their mind says, "I would like to do this," but then they never start it. So, right? Or I would love to. So many people said, "Oh, I see poet. I'd love to do it," but they never get anywhere. And at one point, I realized that the only way you manifest things in your life is you have to set your feet in motion. You have to create that intention and say, yes, I really want to do pole. This would be really fun. And yes, I'm setting up an appointment to be there Monday's class at 6 o'clock. So
Yeah.
I think I don't know if there was one moment, but I think very quickly I started realizing in life that whatever you do, it can't just be platitudes. It has to be actual intention and setting the framework to manifest that. So I don't know if there was one thing. I think it was more like a metamorphosis, maybe a couple points. But then I started realizing that so many people have dreams that never come to life because they don't take the steps to get there.
And that
And
can be because of self doubt, especially with a lot of ladies. We don't do things because we doubt ourselves. So, how do you deal with overcoming those self doubts, those mental barriers, and getting beyond our limiting beliefs?
See, I really believe since everything in the universe is energy, the whole planet, everything's energy. And I really believe if you connect with that inner energy, you connect with those archetypes. Because to me, archetypes are vessels of energy that like can empower our lives. So when I connect with the archetype of inspiration or the archetype of empowerment, I am I am allowing it in some way uh, to exalt me so that I can manifest more. So a lot of it comes from, mental, like knowing that. Like when I go down to work out, I put music that inspires me and I feel that energy from inspiration and it makes me move through things that I thought I couldn't do and do them. So I think it really comes down to your mindset. um, I don't know if I've ever had few moments where I didn't believe in myself, but there's always moments I think where you doubt. Like I know the first time I went to my world championship, I got on that plane thinking I qualified, but I must be out of my mind. I've been doing pole a little over 2 years. I'm not qualified, and to come back in the world championship and win, I think maybe that might have been a pivotal moment because honestly, there's a part of me that didn't want to go. I didn't think I was qualified, but there was a part of me that said, yes, you can do this. And that's the one that won. So I realized that it's like you have to feel the fear and do it anyhow. See,
yeah.
and at that time, yes, I was nervous going on stage. Not anymore, but at that time I was. So I think you just have to push through that and say, okay, I'm going to do this. I can do this. And that becomes an intention. And the more that you do that, that intention starts directing your life towards manifesting your dreams.
Yeah, the message I get from you is that you don't have to have it all planned out. You just have to take the first step. And I
Yes.
think and I think that that could be said for winning a world championship or for anything in life. And I think the powerful message that you're sending is that if you want a more healthy life, if you want a better life, you don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to do something, a small step, and
Yes.
that will lead to the next.
Yes. And you celebrate the little victories. Every time you do something on the pole, you might not master the move, but you're a little bit closer. Or you did a video of it and you look like it's a little more graceful, a little more effortless, or you like the way you transitioned into it. You find the part of it that is growing and you expand that. So if you celebrate those, then it's uplifting to you and kind of gives you the energy to do it.
Now, you've been doing pole now, so for over 15 years, right, Greta? And
Yeah, 15 years now. It's
okay,
hard
so
to
this
believe.
is amazing that how you've stuck with it because that is another testament of it takes time to learn and master these things and to become like Greta. And well, I mean, I guess you've had a world championship almost every year that you've been doing this, right?
Yeah, some of them have different criteria. like I've won in pole art and pole sport, and the total of them they add up to like 16. So there's different championships with different criteria, and yeah, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the medals because to me it allows me to use the stage as a platform. But far more important than those medals are the opportunity to inspire people to not let age or any limitation keep them from finding the passion within to go after their dreams.
And speaking of age, age is often like a limitation or viewed as a limitation by many, and you're proving otherwise. So what misconceptions about aging do you hope to change through your sport, through your example, through your fitness, your art?
I think aging is an attitude. I really believe that you can mitigate the effects of aging through clean diet, a very healthy diet. I have a kind of a paleo diet. I try to avoid gluten and high inflammation foods or things with preservatives, fast foods. I try to eat as organic as possible, fresh cut fish, etc., free range chicken and egg. I think that's important. I think having a program, an exercise, whatever it is really important. And then surrounding yourself with people who inspire your life, inspiring people and mentors, and reading profound thought. I deal a lot with, I read a lot, and I read a lot of philosophy, and I read a lot of uh, new, new thought and ways to enrich your life through um, finding that part of yourself that believes in yourself. Because if people only knew what they are capable of, if they believed in themselves.
When you see other 74-year-olds, Greta, and I mean, you're here doing this amazing feats, things that I see you doing on the pole, I'm like, okay, I don't know if I could ever do that. Like, and you're 74 and you make it look easy. So for when you see your peers that are 74 that are not active, I'm thinking some maybe even having to have caretakers already in their 70s. And so how does what message do you have maybe for the younger generation so that we don't we end up more like Greta instead of ending up, with osteoporosis or osteopenia, or not doing all the things and not chasing our dreams and not living our life to the fullest?
Well, first of all, I think the benchmark is changing. So first of all, because we're seeing people older and older, like even Simone Biles, like she was the oldest gymnast, what, in the last 50 years, I believe. I mean, and she was what, 26, 27, somewhere around there. I mean, that's old for a gymnast, but at least she raised the bar. The glass ceiling has raised. So I think the whole mindset is shifting. But what I tell them is don't like people, they give up. They go, I'm too old, or I'm too this, or I'm too that. That keeps them from manifesting the best they can become. Take age out of the equation. So if I don't look in the mirror, I feel like I'm in my late 30s, maybe 40. Healthier, I feel full, tons of energy. People say, where do you get your energy? I said, when you follow your passion, because you're doing what you love. And people that do what they love, they are just filled with that life force. So I believe connecting with that. Don't ever give up. I mean, I know when I had both my hips replaced. I don't know if you know that. And I had the last one was done. The last provision was removed in beginning of December, February of the next year, which was 2.5 months later. I won another world championship because when I got my hip done, I said to the doctor, I said, "Tell me, how soon could I do pull-ups?" "Oh, you could do those right away. You just can't move your leg past 90 degrees." And yes, it was sore. I was in a little pain. So I did things. I did pull-ups. I worked on choreography. In my mind, I worked on it. I worked on the costume. I did all the components of it. And that particular piece that I did was probably one of my most favorite pieces because it was about a tree that gets burnt in a forest fire and thinks its life is over and comes back as a sprout. And that was a metaphor for what I went through with my hips. So everything that I do, every piece I choreograph is about transformation, and everyone is in some way hits those archetypes of my life and what I've been through. And I want to bring them to life, and I want to tell a story and in a fresh new way every time. So it's sometimes challenging to put a new piece together. It's easy to do the phoenix rises out of the ashes, but to take that archetype and create different scenarios and characters with it is my challenge. But it always comes to me. I think it's just channeled to me. I mean, some of the things that come, I could not figure out. They just come to me in dreams or working on something, and all of a sudden, it's pieces of the puzzle start to flow. And that's what's so beautiful about it, because it shows you how miraculous this whole life is.
Now, you've obviously found your passion, and not everyone would say that they have something that they are so passionate about. And what would be your advice to someone that is feeling maybe in a rut, maybe that they need to find their thing, as you mentioned, whether it's pole art or whatever it is? What's something that they could do to help move them in the right direction of their passion?
Well, first of all, I see everything in life as an adventure. Even when something goes wrong, a flight's canceled, and you think, "Oh, I needed to be there," it's an adventure. So I don't get upset. I don't get insulted. I don't get offended. Those are not in my world. So everything's an adventure, and the adventure leads me to all kinds of things. I find so much that enriches my life that I believe that anybody else that starts seeing life more as an adventure, take new classes, find out, like, what do you like to do? Is there something artistic or whatever it is? There's something within you that if you dig deep enough that you've always wanted to do. Write it down. Writing down, journaling things, getting ideas. What inspires you? What do you see somebody else do? You think, I would like to do this, but I don't think I can. Well, you haven't given yourself a chance. So I think you just have to find those things, surround yourself with people that inspire you and are a catalyst to bring out your gifts. They're there. But you've got to reach out. You've got to cast your net a little bit broader if it's not manifesting now in your life.
Yeah, I think I agree that it's not going to just come to you. You have to go seeking. And that might be some failed attempts of, maybe I'm trying photography, maybe I'm trying pickleball, maybe I'm trying pole art. You just have to try and maybe get some support along the way, and maybe you'll be inspired as you go. But it probably just won't hit you in the face unless you go seek it out.
Yes, and you find that when you do that, I mean, all of life becomes an adventure. You do things that you wouldn't normally do, and so that expands your world. Even if you're just doing it in little things that maybe are not in the direction of manifesting your passion, it's still those little things set you in that direction. Like, I just got back from Dubai, and I ski in Park City a lot, and I love the snow there. So somebody said, "Let's go into one of the malls and ski." And I'm thinking, "Oh, this isn't going to be Park City. This is just going to be fine." But they go, "Come on, let's do it." I go, "Okay." Had a blast. Yeah, they have snow, they have chairlifts inside and everything. It was fantastic. But because I wanted to explore. I was okay, this is an adventure. I'm going to make this fun. And just that kind of mindset, if you have that mindset, pretty soon that mindset will find your passion or find the thing that you're looking for. But if I'd have said, "No, I don't think this is going to be fun,"
Yeah,
it's in a mall, it's in a giant refrigerator. But
yeah.
and the same thing about zip lining, maybe. That's another thing, He talked me into doing all kinds of things that I think, okay, it's adventure. I'm going to do it. And you start developing that skill set. So when the right thing comes along, you can manifest it.
Yeah.
If you're more fit like you, Greta, if you're more in shape and you're more fit, you can do more adventures. You can go zip lining and your body can handle those things. So I think that's also the message is for us to stay healthy. What about you as far as fitness? How often do you train as far as pole? I know our ladies are going to want to know how, obviously you've had 2 hip replacements. So it doesn't mean you're not somebody who's without pain or challenges. But what about fitness? What does your fitness look like or your
Well, I
training?
don't have any pain now.
Hmm.
And my hips, I got my flexibility right back. There's a couple things that are a little harder to do because of my hips, but it's subtle. It doesn't really matter because the road turns left, you turn left. So I say, okay, my body can't do this as well, but I can do this, and this direction I'll take. you find what your body can do, and you exalt on that. My schedule, like I usually train on pole maybe an average of 10 hours a week, let's say, around 10 hours. I spend time on choreography. I spend time on in my mind, like I do a lot of like mental processing about it, like transitions, or how can I create more intention in the piece and bring my story more to life, or put more of a heart on the stage. So that's part of it too, because they say that the mental is really important. That you can, if you do those things mentally, it kind of sets a blueprint for when you actually do it. That makes it easier, and it becomes a little part of your muscle memory. So that works for me. And when I travel, when I go to a gym, typically there's not going to be a pole there, so I have to do weights. I like dumbbells. I don't use the machines, so then I do dumbbells and stretch. And if there's a place I can, and I used to do pull-ups, I love pull-ups. If there's a place that I can, that is parallel to or perpendicular to the ground that looks like a pole, and I can do a deadlift on it, I'm like, oh, this is interesting. There's a couple videos on my Instagram channel, Ariel, then that you can see where I was in the wind in a couple places, and I said, okay, I think I can do this, and it was really fun. But yes, but most of the time, I train. I have a studio in my home, and then when I do workshops, I train with other people. And I did 2 pole shoots, and one in Sedona and one outside of Phoenix the other day. There was with some amazing photographers and wonderful people that just inspired my life. So it was one of those crown jewels, like going out there in the mountains and doing it. I think you have to have that sense of adventure and in your life, and do those things that you've thought, oh, I'm too tired, I'm too this, I'm too that, and get rid of that and say, okay, onward and upward. I'm going to make this happen.
Yeah. Now, what's next for you? And how do you continue to challenge yourself? Will you continue to go after these world championships? What do you see in the future?
Well, yeah, like I said, winning more is not really on my bucket list, but keeping going is. So yes, I will be doing more of them. Not because I need more medals or world titles, but because it gives me a goal. I love the camaraderie of the pole community. I've met so many amazing people there. So, and I travel all over the world. I've competed in Singapore and Hong Kong, and a lot in Europe and in Rio. And I've given workshops all over the world. I love traveling with a passion, and visiting pole studios, and meeting new people. And, it's doing photo shoots out in nature in unusual places, and bringing those places. There's such a beautiful backdrop for pole. It's so inspiring to be there. Like yesterday with the Red Rocks, it was just uplifted my spirit. So it takes your art form to a whole other level.
If you had a wish for our listeners today, what would it be?
My wish is, I think I kind of touched on it a little earlier. Believe in yourself. You don't know the magnificent you are capable of.
Alli?
My wish is that we'll all be adventurous like Greta and look at life as one big adventure.
And my wish is that, like Greta, you find your passion, whether that be looking into pole art or some other avenue, but find your passion and go on an adventure.
Thanks for listening. You'll find me, Alli, on Instagram at Alli Kerr Fitness.
And you'll find me, Shawna, on Instagram at Shawna Kaminski. Feel free to pop us a DM with questions and or feedback.
If you're enjoying the Girls Talk Healthy Aging podcast, please subscribe and share it with other health-minded women. Ratings and reviews are also much appreciated and help us get our message out to a larger audience. Until next time, be healthy and be happy.